as to the kind of the headline of the presentation, why Riga has potential to attract talent. I think, of course, Riga is already attracting talent. And Riga is attracting international talent. And international is the key here. One encouraging issue, of course, is that there is still lots of potential to attract global talent and boost the Latvian economy. In short, of course, I think it's all about ambition. It's all about ambition and how far do we stretch our imagination, our plans, our targets, and what do we want to achieve. Riga, of course, by far is the crown jewel of the Latvian economy. Nothing compares to Riga. If Riga is strong, the rest of Latvia is strong. But of course, we should not discuss Riga within the Latvian economy. The least we should discuss is Riga as part of the 3 Baltic countries. But of course, we should stretch it further. We should discuss Riga as a global city. We should discuss Riga as the Baltic Sea powerhouse. Hopefully, even stronger than currently going forward. So, I would say that Riga is the metropolis of the Baltic economies. But I think we should not be shy, and we should see Riga as the economic capital of the Baltics. And as we know, talent is the key to develop economy, and economy gets developed even more when the talent is there. So it's endogenous. Anyway, I would like to point to 3 issues today when talking about the talent issue. Point 1, quality of life. Riga fares quite nicely here. Point 2, connectivity. Same, but we can do better. And the third point, which I think is crucial for growth going forward, to strengthen the Latvian economy, to strengthen Riga's role within the region, is of course science, education, and research. No economy can jump high enough without this third element. So let me first discuss some of the advantages that Riga currently has, and also end with some of the opportunities of the untapped potential that Riga has and can lift it even further than we currently imagine. Okay, so the size of the economy. Riga by far, as you can see, compared across the Baltics, is in terms of its economic activity measured by GDP in billion euros, is by far the largest of the cities within the Baltics. In terms of population, the same. And of course, it's not only the capital itself, but it's also, of course, what we may call Greater Riga, the Riga region. And there we have near 1 million people. Okay, so this provides also good ground for economic growth going forward. Unfortunately, as we will see, the growth rates for our companions or competitors, especially that of Vilnius, in the past decade have been significantly faster than that of Riga. Okay, so there is still lots of things to do to boost growth of the Riga's role. So in terms of the size of the economy, in terms of the population, we are by far the largest. If we take a look at the environment, quality of life, and vibrant cultural scene, population of Riga is relatively satisfied. Of course, we can do better. And this greenish part says where the people are happy. But of course, this light green still to be improved, especially if one talks about the public transportation or public administration in terms of its digitalization. So good so far, but by all means, we can do better, and that would attract even more business. If we take a look at the connectivity for every hub of economic activity, of economic growth. Of course, regional connectivity is extremely important. And to the left, we can see the impact of Air Baltic. So that is the real asset that we have compared to the rest of the Baltic countries. Of course, we can see that during the COVID times, which is the dotted line, the volumes have dropped. But when COVID passes and fades away, then, of course, we are likely to see very strong rebound in this area. In terms of port activity as well, Riga and Latvia as such has fared quite nicely in the past years. Unfortunately, some of the geopolitical factors, of course, are weighing down on the future growth. But that also opens up for even more opportunities, especially when we look also at the Rail Baltic network being developed. Riga is a city, already is a city of many headquarters, startups. At the end of the day, Stockholm School of Economics in Riga is the best business school in the Baltics. So the talent pool is there. In terms of financial markets, we've seen Swedbank, the largest bank in the Baltics, opening its headquarters, its holding company, here in Riga. So it also provides for the financial hub. And of course, companies as such, Mikrotik or Printful or other companies that have grown very fast in the past years provide good soil for growth going forward. If we compare where did the Baltics stand, and Riga for that matter, compared to the other two Baltic capitals in 2000, and that is what we see on the x-axis. To the left, we can see growth rates in terms of incomes for the whole of the over 1,000 EU regions compared to 2000 on the x-axis, and the growth rate over 2001 to 2018, that's the latest data that we have by these regions. We see that Riga has been one of the fastest growing regions and one of the fastest growing capitals of the last 2 decades. Good news, we've grown fast. But if one takes a look at the GDP per capita nowadays, both across all those 1,000 regions or across the capitals, we would see that we are still far away from the best in class. So the potential is still there. And attracting talent would both lift the potential, but also lifting the potential would attract more talent. So the endogeneity is there again. If we take a look at the social and cultural life and the cost of living, there are also some benefits. Riga is not the most expensive city, so it is quite affordable to live in. And that as well is an important part when people decide when should they move to. Employment, what's going on with the labor market? We see that unemployment rates are relatively low, but at the same time, participation rates in the chart to the left are still relatively low, which means that by retraining those unemployed, by pulling into the labor market those currently not employed, we can boost labor supply. So that potential is still significantly higher than we see in our competitor capitals. But have we done the best that we can? Unfortunately, not yet. But I would look at this not as a glass half empty, but I would look at it as a glass half full, because that means there is a lot of untapped potential. And here on the chart, and this is calculation analysis by my colleagues at the Bank of Latvia, what we can see, GDP per capita on the x-axis as percentage of EU average in 2018, the latest data in this cross-section available. We can see that Riga is somewhere around 100% of EU average. Now it's already above that. But if we compare to the best in the class, measured by quality of life index, which comprises 36 different aspects of quality of life in the capitals, what you can see, we are doing not that well yet. But again, I would stress, this is not glass half empty, it is glass half full. Okay, let me move to the next slide. So what could be done? One issue, of course, which is under direct influence of the municipality is infrastructure. Infrastructure in terms of the comparison across the major European capitals and cities is still much to be desired. So that is, in a way, a low-hanging fruit that we can improve to boost Riga's role and open up those opportunities. What else we need to work on to untap this potential? Of course, we've seen that population has been shrinking in Riga, and that is not good news. This needs to be turned around, especially if we compare to our competitors in Vilnius and Tallinn. Riga has seen its population dwindling. Not good. But we have still another advantage that we can boost our standing and future opportunities. And here what we can see, scientific output. Okay? We see that Riga hosts most of the European, sorry, of the Baltic students in terms of student to population ratio. It's the best in the class, in the Baltics. We also have quite a decent share of foreign students. Unfortunately, we have not been able to use this potential in terms of publications. This is one other low-hanging fruit that can turn around economic activity by using these students, these scientists and researchers to produce more tangible results. Let me conclude by stating the following. Riga is, in terms of economic activity, in terms of population, in terms of connectivity, metropolis of the Baltics. I think this is very nice and good, but I would say that we need to lift it further and say that we are aiming Riga to become an undeniable capital, economic capital of the three Baltic countries by very closely connecting it, for instance, to Stockholm, to benefit those opportunities that still are largely untapped. Riga is modern and green, with affordable prices, of good quality of life and vibrant cultural scene, but we need to improve on infrastructure. Riga, good regional connectivity. Air Baltic is by far the advantage compared to the rest of the Baltic countries, and Rail Baltica would be yet another one that would allow Riga to be linked into the regional economy on a much stronger footing. Riga has been one of the fastest developing hubs of economic activity, but we can do much more by using some of those low-hanging fruits that I pointed to. So at the end of the day, it's all about ambition. It's all about ambition. How far do we stretch our targets, our imagination? And I think only the sky is the limit. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Kazāks. I'm going to ask you actually to stay on stage. We do have time for a couple of questions from Slido. I like this word, ambition. It's a great call to arms, both for our investors and our entrepreneurs. Turning to Slido, let's go with the second question first. I'm alarmed by the decline in goods handled in seaports. Can you please provide an update on investments in Riga's cargo port and also plans for intermodal cargo?
I would not be the one who would know exactly what are the transportation plans of the ministry or Riga port. But what we see, of course, that there are certain cargo flows, such as coal, which by and large has become non-existent. We know that due to geopolitical reasons, the cargo flows from Russia have shrunk. And of course, it has had a negative impact onto the economy. But at the same time, it opens up possibilities elsewhere. And one of such is what I already mentioned is Rail Baltica. Of course, it's not going to come next year. It's not going to come the year after. Unfortunately, it has been pushed forward closer to 2030. But it is still, in my view, both strategic and economic asset that we should use. And the sooner this network is completed, the better it is for the Latvian economy and for the opportunities that it opens up. We have 3 large ports. Okay? They are by far not fully used. This, very similar to what is happening, for instance, in Liepāja, opens up possibilities for local production capacity that can be serviced through those ports.
Quick follow-up question on that. Do you see Rail Baltica as a complement or a replacement for the seaport traffic?
I see it as yet another route that can open the opportunities, okay? Because we've seen over the past decade or so that it is extremely difficult to replace the loss of cargo that we've seen from east to west or west-east, okay? So we need that route to use the infrastructure that already has been developed. Okay? The infrastructure Riga, Ventspils, Liepāja, and some other smaller ports. And at the end of the day, also given the greening of the economies and the carbon footprint, I think getting onto the train and going for a meeting to Berlin, okay, and working on the way is a nice choice rather than spending time in the airport. Okay?
Of course.
So a nice alternative.
Let's real quick look at the second question. What are the low-hanging fruits we could address to bring up the overall quality of life in Riga?
I think what Riga needs to do, and we've seen that in the case of Vilnius. Vilnius has been the fiercest of the competitors to Riga over the past decade or so. And it has happened because there's been a very good cooperation between the municipality and the national government. And I think this is the best avenue for growth, to open those low-hanging fruit opportunities, which is Riga municipality working very closely together with the national government, setting up, road trips with very specific agenda. Where do we see the development? That is one thing. Another thing, of course, is infrastructure. It's not, of course, only the people who live in Riga. It's the ability to get to Riga. So the transport infrastructure to make quality of life better than currently, it is yet another important area. And of course, Riga as a city for students, as a city for research, as a city for different scientific spin-offs, we should do that. Of course, Riga alone cannot do it. Okay? It's the national government that needs to be involved as well. But we have decent universities. We have, in certain areas, even world-class scientists and researchers, which means that we should untap those opportunities. Every decent global university, and we should have global and strong universities, has to have talent from outside. We have to have smart immigration policies that allows us to use those opportunities. If we want to be one of the richest in the world, and I think the ambition should be there, we are a decent income country. Okay? We are not poor anymore. Okay? By global standards, by no means. Growth in the past years, in the past 20, 30 years has been very fast. we need to be open to the global talent and make use of that. By learning from the best, we would be able to get better ourselves. So science, research and development, that is the recipe for growth. So that the Latvian economy can really jump, not step by step up the ladder, but we can really jump 2-3 steps in a go. And without being smart and having global exposure and being open to global developments, it's not going to happen. So if you want to be rich, we have to be global. And that's an opportunity, but that's also the advantage of small open economies. We can do these changes very, very rapidly. So again, sorry to be repetitive, but it's only the ambition that we want to put in front of ourselves. If you are willing to do it fast, then only the sky is the limit.